and welcome to Culture Cubby, the podcast that is not afraid to say your toys are alive, they do want to kill you, and we're kind of on their side.
Yeah.
I am your host, Julian Sosa, along with.
Jared Slattery.
And today we are talking about the movie Demonic Toys. This one was a childhood favorite of mine. Shouldn't have been a childhood favorite, but my dad was like really into like us watching, his stuff.
This was his stuff.
This was his stuff, yeah. My dad, like, a lot of my tastes actually, you probably could like attribute to him from back then. Movies like this, like Demonic Toys, Puppet Master,
Pootie Tang.
Pootie Tang, all within the same realm, at least I guess of quality.
How dare you?
For this one, it was really like what I would say when I think of like Blockbuster and like going to grab a movie. This is really messed up, but like the two movies I always think of are Demonic Toys and Brave Little Toaster.
It's Chopping Mall for me and Jack Frost, both versions.
Oof. It's funny because like we watched the Chopping Mall trailer just a second ago, and I was like, oh, there's similarities, in like the people are trapped in one area and an inanimate object is chasing them down to kill them. Not that I want to get too much into the Chopping Mall, because I could definitely see us doing that, but
That's all I have notes on.
So, like, speaking of that, like, I do want to get into the plot of Demonic Toys, but, like, again, just the nostalgia factor of it for me. This time of movies where, like, they couldn't produce something, like, larger, but, like, VHSs and Blockbuster really created a opening for filmmakers. And so, like, a lot of movies are being produced at this time that otherwise wouldn't have been. You've got like the Tromo films, just obviously these Full Moon, and I don't know, like it's almost like a period of time that I miss.
I don't miss most of these movies like that. I miss going into Blockbuster and renting Hercules for the Nintendo 64 with no memory pack, so I'd always play the first level over and over again. That's why I like Blockbuster as a kid.
And I've actually heard that a few times. Like, I don't remember like renting that many games personally, but I know that was like people's rental experience, especially like people our age was like renting the games. For me, like, I wish this was one that I didn't return because it became really difficult for a long time to find this movie, because I guess there was some like distribution deal, like some sort of confrontation, I think, between people behind the scenes of this, that like movies like this and obviously Puppet Master like became really difficult to find. So for the longest time I had this movie only on DVD, and it was like from Mexico. It was like a copy from Mexico. So like that was the only way to. I wasn't sure that you had seen this, and you're pretty sure you hadn't seen this before.
I wasn't sure before we started watching, but yeah, I never saw that.
This is crazy because I talk about this movie all the time.
And I just nod. I go into a fugue state.
So I was surprised to hear that. But the plot of Demonic Toys is that there's two cops that they have like a sting operation to basically bust some arms dealers, and it goes awry, and one of the cops gets shot. The other one runs off trying to get the one guy that got away. I guess they both got away, but one was shot. But anyway, they get into a warehouse, and the warehouse just so happens to be built over like a demon that has unleashed itself, and now it's like controlling toys, and the toys are out to kill this cop and the other people that are kind of inside. And that's, I guess, the basic plot of it.
An important part is that this is the cops were not only partners in crime fighting, but were actually romantic partners,
Yeah.
and that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I don't think that's actually allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a cop friend that is married to another cop, and they're like not really allowed to be together. So
Were they cops in the 80s?
they weren't cops in the 80s.
Were they fictional characters?
They were not fictional characters.
I think it's perfectly allowed and ethical.
You can see though where problems would arise here.
No.
But yes, so the 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 male cop in this, he's the one that gets shot and killed during the and what an awful like undercover op because they had nobody. It seemed like nobody knows that they're there. Like there's no other cops around. There's nobody that's like checking in on them because throughout the entire ordeal, she's trying to get to a phone to contact them, and it's never brought up like, oh well, they'll eventually know we're missing or anything like that. Like it's simply that she's in trouble in this warehouse and nobody's coming.
Yeah.
Like terrible cops.
Yep. Yes, 10,000%. That whole precinct deserves to be fired for allowing this operation. Also, we find out that the female lead, the female cop, is pregnant. But we find out with the other cop, and he is saying, hey, be direct with me. And she's just like, I'm going to play a game. I'm going to imply a bunch of things and hope that you get what I'm saying. No, and then she's mad because he doesn't get it. And she's like, I'm pregnant. Exactly what you don't want to be direct with, right?
Right, because she's trying to dance around it by saying, oh, do you want kids? And then she gets upset when he's not like, oh, that means you're pregnant.
Right.
Which is a crazy thing to...
It's a different situation.
Right, yeah. Do you want kids is a fair question to somebody that you're in a relationship with. That does not mean that you should assume somebody's pregnant.
Yeah, that's a wild leap.
Yeah. I want to ask, like, how do you feel about, like, the quality of this film? Because obviously we've watched a lot of bad films.
The cameras were better than a lot.
Yeah.
Especially for the time. I would say that the cameras in this movie were better than the cameras in Ginger Dead Man.
Yeah, it's an odd thing that, like, you look at a company that's made a lot of these B movies, and it almost is like, yeah, the earlier ones, for whatever reason, look much nicer and look more professionally shot. Forget the camera quality. These look more professionally shot than, like, stuff that's made now.
The quality of some of the special effects, not all the special effects, but some of the special effects are real good, and some of it is real bad.
Yeah, so because we watched this one together, we were kind of talking about the practical effects, how much better it looked and how much we like missed it. Because yeah, when you look at like when things are done through animation now with like the same budget, like it's always gonna look far worse than if you just done practical effects. So
Yeah.
it's like I wish studios like this would have at least like stayed in that realm.
Yeah. CG with a movie like this doesn't work.
Right.
It's just too goofy.
And Demonic Toys is like, it's a film that has spawned a lot of sequels, especially recently. Because I think there was a lot of like nostalgia about it more recently, and so like they just started like producing a bunch of sequels and again, for a long period of time, I don't think they were allowed to do anything with it, which is a shame because it probably would have been better if they did it back then.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I've watched all the Puppet Master movies, but I don't think I've watched any of these.
So I think if I had to guess, the one we've definitely watched together is Puppet Master vs. Demonic Toys.
Yeah, I think that's...
With Corey Feldman.
Yeah. Yes, we have seen that one.
Yeah. And that's one that is far worse than this or any... It's probably the worst one in terms of its visuals.
And not to confuse anybody, we're not talking about a 80s Corey Feldman, which could be believable given the time period that this was shot. We're talking about an old man Corey Feldman.
Yeah, this was 2000s
Yeah.
Corey Feldman. So they're in the warehouse. The toys that we're kind of introduced to are there's a Jack in a Box called Jack Attack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's ever
No.
called that in the movie, but that's what it's called. There's Baby Oopsie Daisy, and then there's a bear. I don't know its name, and then there's a robot that shoots lasers.
Which is your favorite?
That's a fun So my favorite is the Jack Attack.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's just the creepiest one. It's the most sinister one to me. Because when I was looking this movie up just for like details about it, it was referred to as a horror comedy, and I'm like, I don't think of it as a horror comedy at all. But I guess it's a horror film with one character that's being comedic, and that's Baby Oopsie Daisy. Because it's just nonstop, like, one-liners throughout the entire film.
It's super edgy. Just super edgy. What if this baby, but cursing?
Right, yeah, it's the only thing that's doing that. It's the only thing operating in that way. The Jack in the Box just kind of, like, laughs creepily and bites people.
I'll tell you which was my favorite. The bear. Because that's already scary.
The bear...
And it's variable sizes.
Yes, so that's definitely one of my favorite things in this is like the bear becoming just massive and becoming an actual bear monster.
Yeah. A bear will just rip your fucking head off. So
right, yeah, that's essentially what it just turns into a regular bear.
Yeah, with crazy puppet mouth.
Yeah. The robot though is the most interesting one to me though because it shoots lasers.
Yeah,
and it's like the demon possessing it give it laser powers?
Because if it could do that, why not give all of them laser powers?
Yeah.
You know? Why not just have laser powers?
Right, the baby should be shooting lasers out of its eyes.
The demon should have laser powers.
Yeah. It's funny, is the baby is actually like the least useful one of the lot. Because the clown has razor sharp teeth to like bite.
Dang.
The bear turns into a giant bear, and then the robot has lasers.
I think about how dangerous this toy-possessing demon would be in your house with your collection versus, like, a modern toy section where everything's a Funko Pop.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, these are just Funko Pops. I'm good.
And I think that's what drew me to this movie at a too young age, because I didn't think about, like, the demon aspect of it or them even being bad. All I saw as a kid was, oh, toys alive. Like, that's fantastic. I'm down for that.
This is what I want.
Yeah, and then Toy Story came along and
Yeah, that's one of my
painted
notes.
a much better version of that.
Mine was John Lasseter's just watching this, like, I got an idea. But that made me think of a horror version of The Brave Little Toaster that isn't The Brave Little Toaster, because that's just sad.
Yeah.
And there's scary moments in it.
Yeah.
But the appliances are just trying to kill you, and I like that.
That's Maximum Overdrive.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, I was just thinking about that little... I was thinking about the song Cutting Edge from the Brave Little Toaster soundtrack. And I was like, that's a good horror track.
Yeah. Oh, no. I can go all day on that.
Oh, so the other lead is a fast food chicken worker and delivery person. And the delivery truck or delivery car is insane. It's insane. The chicken looks like it was going to be, like I feel like it was going to be at one point a toy that comes to life. But they're like, we don't have time for this.
Yeah, Mark is actually my favorite character in this. Always has been. I've always liked characters like this where he's like, I guess, a reluctant hero is the best way to put it. But yeah, he's just delivering. There's like a guard there, and he's delivering food to the guard, and he has like a good rapport with him. So they go through the factory while they hear like gunshots.
Yeah, they drink while they hear gunshots.
Yeah, yeah. So this guard is kind of your typical like bumbling idiot, and immediately gets killed. There's quite a few. There's
Hmm.
characters in this that I believe they're only there to be killed.
Yeah,
He had a little bit, but then there's a character that's she's like a runaway.
yeah. She felt like she was going to be way more important to it.
Right.
She had lore. She knew what was going on, and then they're like immediately dead.
Yeah, because what's the character's name from Beetlejuice? Cordelia.
Uh huh.
It's like she's just showed up and gave like, oh yeah, these toys they're like possessed, and there's like ghost girls
No
riding
big deal.
bicycles around,
It ain't a thing.
and I'm gonna kind of like show you how to get out of here, and then she gets killed.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Well, I did write down how the security guard, when he realized that the cop was a woman, because he's like, this is a security guard. He's like, a lady cop. He didn't say that, but his face said that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a ton of like stuff in
I
this
mean,
dating where it's
this is the emoji I drew for it. We'll save that.
yeah, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to date when this movie was made. Funny enough, the writer of this, David S. Goyer, went on to do like a lot of big stuff. Like he wrote for Batman Begins, the third one in that. What is that? Batman,
The Dark Knight
The
Rises.
Dark Knight Rises, um, Batman vs Superman,
Mm-hmm.
just Batman.
Dude, just Batman.
No, yeah, a lot of other stuff, but those are kind of like more prominent things. A big thing in this film wanted to talk about is like we've done a few kind of horror films now that, oh gosh, I just called Ernest Scared Stupid a horror
Look,
film.
there were moments of that almost were.
Yeah. So like horror films that they do a very particular thing, and that's in order for this haunt or horror to be happening, something very particular has to
Mm-hmm.
happen. And this to me did it the best because, so like we go back to Ginger Dead Man, where blood has to be put into the dough, and then it needs to be electrocuted, like lightning needs to hit the
Mm-hmm.
building in order for it to like apparently become a thing. Or in Ernest Scared Stupid, it was he had to say a particular thing, which was done humorously
Mm-hmm.
by like
It was
him
tongue in
being
cheek.
sent the given the information. But this I feel like set it up so that like, because the cop, whose name is Judith, she's being she's been having dreams of these two kids in front of her playing a card game of war.
Mm-hmm.
And so we find out that one of those kids is the demon of this building. So like, do you feel like that was like the demon actually like wrangling her, almost like something being implanted in her head
Yeah,
to like get there?
yeah. I actually think both of them are the demon. Both
Oh,
children.
okay, interesting.
I think that is the cleanest way to get out of that. But I mean, then again, the demon had to rape her according to his own, which
Right.
is wild too. But
But
so
that's
never
a
mind.
very that's like this time
But
period of these bad films is like,
but let me posit that he just added that as an extra layer of like, I'm fucking terrible. Look at how much you're saved now.
yeah.
Your baby is not a demon anymore. I go heaven.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because it's kind of set up so that the two kids she's actually watching is the demon that's saying that it's going to take over her baby's body and eliminate the soul, and then the other child is her actual unborn child.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which is a wild thing because if it's the soul of a child, does it need to look like a child? Does it need to be 10 years old?
so another thing I was going to ask with that is, do you think that this was, and maybe this is giving the movie too much credit, but do you think that the whole playing with toys thing, like really added to the element of like them being children, like the whole reason that it decided to bring, I don't know, toys to life. I get they're in a toy factory,
Yeah.
but like the fact that it's the demon is always presenting itself as a child,
Hmm.
and then she being saved by a child.
Well, I think the lore of that demon is that it has to be born as a child, and then also that the people who tried to make him be born in the past
Yeah.
just handed the baby off to children. I think that might have something too, but I don't think there's much going on. Like if there's anything deeper going on, it's on accident.
Yeah. Yet another question I had for you, like, because that's a scene that, in all my watchings of this, like, this watch really made me think, like, what the hell's up with these two older
Yeah.
people? Like, so it's like a scene in the past where the demon attempted to first be born, and it's a baby that looks like a demon, and it's like presumably the doctor or like the midwife. It's this older couple that
Well,
delivers the baby.
they had occult symbols everywhere.
Okay, that's what I thought, but
Hmm.
it also just looked like decorations.
Yeah.
It wasn't like very obvious.
It was the combination of the time period and the decorations. So I was like, they're trying to have demon babies. Also, how about they didn't freak out at the shape of the demon baby?
Right, yeah, they didn't freak out. I guess like the decor for me was hard to interpret because also it was Halloween.
Yeah.
And watching this movie, I knew that the kids were gonna come trick or treating.
How pissed would you be? I mean, I'd be freaked out, but also I'm like, there's a house somewhere giving out full Snickers bars,
Yeah, I'm
and you
definitely.
gave me a dead baby.
Yeah, they just like very calmly give this dead demon baby to some kids, and that's how the baby ended up where the factory was being built. But yeah, I definitely would have told on them.
Hmm.
That's probably a story that they could have explored a bit more, especially in like all these sequels that they did. Because a lot of these sequels that are out now are, I guess, cash grabs. I don't know how much
Yeah.
cash they're grabbing from it, but they're not, because in this, as absurd as the storyline is, at least it goes from like, you see the A to Z. You know, it's certainly what I would call, when I look at bad movies, this is what I'd call a A to Z movie, because you understand it beginning, middle, and end.
Hmm.
You at least see where the plot is and why everything is happening. So like in this, again, even though it's absurd, you understand that there's a demon that's been buried there.
Hmm.
That's why the toys are being possessed, and you see the toys get blown up and stuff. But later on in these sequels, these toys all of a sudden are back.
Hmm.
No explanation to that. No explanation as to why they're possessed still. They're just, well, you know these characters,
Yeah.
so we're gonna add to it.
I kind of wish they didn't put Puppet Master on in the background of
Oh
the
yeah.
the security guard scene. It's because I like canon stuff so much that I'm like, okay, well that movie's set in a different universe that's much less believable than this one, which is saying something. But it ruins the canon for me. This is the sequel trilogy of horror movies for me.
Yeah, what's funny is that's not even the first movie of theirs that they thought to combine with demonic toys. Because the next movie after this is Doll Man
Mm.
versus Demonic Toys. And that's another franchise that they have of this. I don't remember very well, but it's like basically he's like a cop that's like really tiny, like the borrowers, tiny, and yeah, so it makes sense. He's like the small cop that's
Did
like
they
fighting these toys.
did they go over how he passed police academy?
I don't know.
I want that.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but
That's well, heard it here first. We're doing the next one of these next year.
yeah, I would definitely, because that'd be an interesting one for me to re-see. I have seen it before, but not in a very long time. Like I was definitely a little kid, and I can only remember bits of it. But and I know in that movie there's like a third character from a third Full Moon movie
Dang.
that's not connected. So that is a shared universe done in a much better way than they have done it. obviously, again, referring to the awful Puppet Master vs. Demonic Toys.
I remember that movie so bad.
Another thing from this that I remember is the scene where the demon is trying to trick Mark.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, trick him for no real reason.
Yeah. Like, here's a sexy lady. You just saw your not even friend. You just saw somebody die, but look at this hot lady. I mean, I think if this was released a little bit later, they would have made the hot lady the friend or the other person who just died. To be like, hey, remember this person? Look how hot they are. They're dead now.
Yeah, so there's like this real internal thing in me because, again, I watched this at a really young age, but, you know, my parents were still very conscious about, like, nudity and stuff in films.
Wow.
So it was like, you know, okay, this is the scene where you close your eyes. So I must have done that so many times in my life that it's really hard for me not to look away when I'm watching that scene. Yeah, I see nudity and stuff all the time now, but, like, for whatever reason, this movie, it took everything in me not to, like, close my eyes during that scene when we were watching it just now.
God, I wish we had that on camera. Just Julian getting bashful.
But yeah, that was just a funny and kind of terrifying thing that I remember.
The baby Oopsie Daisy or whatever. That's an anime voice actor, almost certainly. I didn't look it up. I'm not gonna. I require. It's the call to action. Put it in the comments. Who is that voice actor? If they are a voice actor, this is the no research zone right now. You do it. And hit that like button and touch the subscribe. Just touch it. Once.
Yeah, it's a very prominent voice coming from that baby.
All I could think was, Kaneda!
I actually do think that because the kid that played the demon was dubbed over the entire time, but I felt like he was nailing it.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of the actors in this, nobody I felt like phoned it in.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's why, like, for whatever reason, these movies, I'm not saying that they're good movies, but, like, they just feel so much better than, like, these kind of films that are produced now, like B films now. Like, you just tell that, like, nobody really cared, or that they just weren't up to it, you know? Like, I did look up some of the actors from this, and they did go on to do stuff, you know? Like, the actress that plays Judith, like, she's been in a ton of stuff. I think she was on Babylon 5 for a good amount of time. The guy that plays Mark, you know, he's been in stuff up until it looked like 2014. I know he's in Susie Q. He's the one that dies with her in that.
Dang.
Yeah. But yeah, it just felt cared for.
Mm-hmm.
Like they definitely wanted something out of this.
Yeah. I mean, and they got something out of it. They got you to be a big fan.
Oh yeah, this is like, I feel like a lot of people think of me as like a big Puppet Master fan, but I actually would put this over all the Puppet Master.
Dang.
As far as like, not saying that it's better, but as far as like my love for it. And I do think it's better than a lot of the Puppet Master films.
This one specifically, there was an area of the film, there was a part of the film where the security guard's like, I got the latest issue of a porn mag. That's wild to me. It's like, hey, you want to see what I'm looking at? You want to see what I'm jerking to right now?
Yeah.
It's this and...
While at work.
Yeah, wild. And getting drunk at work. I don't mind getting drunk at work. I don't do it. I don't really. But I kind of respect... Most of the world allows people to just get drunk whenever they want. And I kind of respect that.
Well, he was, like, in charge of guarding a store with, like, backstock stuffed animals.
Yeah.
Like,
for real. You hear that, security guards, do what you want. Nobody cares.
I did think it was funny how they, like, set up, like, stuffed animals throughout the entire place.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, oh, toys are here. But that's not how they would stock those.
The rest of this podcast is about warehouse management.
Okay. So what you want to do is you want to get some real sturdy crates, right? You don't want to get like the cheap crates.
I think this is also why it was labeled a comedy. Was just this one line was, Judith calls what's his name chicken, or somebody calls him chicken. And he said, "Don't mention chicken to me," and that's real funny.
Oh no, it was the I think it was Anne, the runaway, when they're going through the event.
Don't mention chicken to me.
Yeah, this also has one of those fun, like, events aren't this big scene where they're like, I mean, you can comfortably be in there.
You can be in there, you can move around, you can shuffle. I've never seen an event like that. I just kind of figured it was an East Coast thing for a long time. Because I'm like...
Yeah, I think it's just a movie thing.
Yeah. That's what I figured out as I got a bit older. I'm like, wait a second. I can't climb in this vent.
Right, yeah.
What regulations are we not... What's happening?
At the end of this, when basically the demon is trying to rape her, she's actually saved by the spirit of her actual... you have your theory that it's not actually her child, but how it's presented is that she's been saved by her unborn child in the form of a toy soldier.
Yeah, of a claymation toy soldier.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really obviously claymation... Like, it's such a different animation style to the rest of it, and there's different design philosophy around it.
Yeah.
And it just sticks out like a sore thumb.
Which Full Moon does a lot with their stuff back then, because there's a lot of that in Puppet Master, where they're obviously puppets around it, but then they just need one animation of it, like, running. So it's all of a sudden claymation.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. It definitely takes me back to that time, and gosh, I love this movie. I'm shocked that you haven't seen it. Is this something that you think you'd recommend?
Yeah, but again, it's something I'd recommend to people who enjoy films like this, or if they're looking for a horror movie that they haven't seen, because they've already told me that they are gonna watch whatever because they like horror movies. So they'll probably enjoy this, guaranteed.
Yeah, I do think that it's like a pretty solid, like, toy horror film.
Yeah.
Like, anything involving toys, I personally still put it up there with Chucky. I know Chucky's put on this pedestal, but I think that, I don't know, like, I think it's pretty up there for me.
Yeah.
Well, that was Demonic Toys. I'm glad I finally got you to watch it, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, go watch it.
You heard that. Go do it.